I thought it was interesting that the the two Narn, 2-3 Narn are sacrifice themselves to get Jakar out there. I think that gives us a little bit more. I found that a little interesting, giving us a little bit more about the Narn, how they operate, and also the respect that they might have for Jakar.
Yeah,
just a little bit about that. So
yeah,
I thought that was interesting.
Let's see.
Any other smaller things that anyone wants to mention?
I think it's interesting that they don't want to send another ship. That's kind of odd. They don't want to send a ship to investigate. Nope. It's kind of like they kind of like pulled the same thing that Earth Dome, if you want to call them Earth Force, whatever, did. It was with Sinclair at the very end, where he said, "We don't, this ends now. You're not going to talk about it. Yada yada yada. Cut it off. Or no more investigation." Now we got an investigation. Oh no, really? What? There was a plot? I think it's kind of the same thing with Jakar and with the Narn government. They just kind of like they lost a ship and they don't want to go investigate it. That seems kind of weird. I don't know. Does that not?
Well, I guess the question is the ship that went to investigate, how much is that the Narn government sending it and how much of it is Jakar sending it?
Yeah.
Did he call in a personal favor that maybe that ship is there unauthorized? And we've seen, like, to the Snob's point, we've seen now a degree of loyalty that people have to Jakar. And last season, there's the faith aspect, the religious component. He's apparently not necessarily a religious leader per se, as far as like an elder in a church or anything, but he was leading a worship service. Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
Well, I think
ceremony.
I think he is like an elder in a church.
Well, he could be, and his primary designation, of course, ambassador. But I think there's a religious component, and I think that relationship is maybe deeper than we might have seen up until this point. So there's a degree of loyalty and dedication that the people have, at least a certain group of people among the Narn population, that holds Jakar in high regard. So it could very well be that ship is part of that contingent that thinks that Jakar is a bee's knees. We're going to do whatever we can for him. And that ship goes out there on his say so, and not as an official government assignment. So maybe that's why we don't send another ship, because
I don't know if that's we don't know if that's true.
That's true.
I think that there is some indication of that, because remember when he sent the ship for to chase down Catherine, that was on his authority. Basically,
that was a much smaller ship, though.
No, it was a capital ship as well.
But Cam's right. Cam's right.
Oh no, it might have been smaller ships, but anyway.
Well, they were, but your point stands though, Cam. Is I'm not clearing this through my government. I'm sending them myself.
He's got enough.
I think that's a reach. I mean, it was one or two of the heavy fighters that went to save Sinclair's girlfriend, and this is a bigger ship. I kind of made the assumption that he has the power to. He pushed it, and he probably convinced a lot of the people to go with him. Yeah. But he can only do that. Calling in favors, whatever, using his influence. He can only do that once.
Well,
now a second time, people are like, oh, we gave you what you want the first time. It didn't work out. No, we can't risk another one, type of thing.
No, Drake says it's a lowercase ship, not a capital one.
I think too, the other aspect of that too is if Jakar already suspects what's out there, and he's had conversations with the homeworld in order to get the ship out there, other people probably suspect what's out there. Yeah. So the destruction of the ship is probably all they need to confirm what's out there, and now we have to take steps.
Well, and that was 1,000 years ago, right? According to Jaquan.
I would suspect that some of them, first of all, not everyone is Jakar's religion. So there's going to be some
Right.
that are skeptical. They're going to,
Yeah.
some of them are going to be like the council and say, well, you've got your religion and this is from your religious text and stuff, but that's a book that was written 1,000 years ago.
Well,
We want more proof. So there's going to be a little bit of, back and forth of that type, even in the Narn government.
and how long ago was the Minbari thing?
Which thing?
Well, with the last time that supposedly this transformation happened or something like that.
Transformation.
Wasn't it 1,000 years ago?
Oh, the last time anybody went through the chrysalis?
Yeah.
I don't remember when they said.
Or the one. So there seems to be a kind of you see like all this stuff happened 1,000 years ago. The last time you saw the shadow.
Well, that's when Valen was appeared in.
And 1,000 years ago was when Valen
1,000 years
appeared,
ago.
right?
Yeah.
So I wonder if those those are religious leaders mostly, right? So I wonder if Jaquan and Valen and if they knew, if they
were like the Justice League, the multicultural Justice League of 1,000
well,
years
yeah,
ago.
interplanetary, yeah, something like that. Maybe they were the lanterns of the last millennia.
Yeah. Well, 1,000 years ago, a lot went on then. So
Yeah. Well, apparently 1,000 years in that timeline. All at about the same time,
Right. Now, what's interesting is that the Narn, again, supposedly this agrarian culture and everything, were they even spacefaring 1,000 years ago?
Oh,
yeah.
I don't think they were.
Yeah, it's unlikely.
But they somehow
I'm not sure
knew
about
about this.
I mean, we weren't.
Right.
But they knew about this, this
Well,
battle or.
Yeah, it's something could have happened on their world at that time too.
Or they saw, yeah, he saw the ships. Maybe something, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I don't remember the timelines. I mean, were the Centauri spacefaring 1,000 years ago? The Minbari were.
I don't know.
Well, they seem to claim, but they bloviate a lot.
Michael,
so.
Michael or Q2Cast, you guys would know. Michael's a deep lore guy. You should know this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right. Any last minute discussion topics, Cam, that we missed?
Nope. I think
we hit everything.
Let's